Definitely not 227 degrees amplitude, and a bent fourth wheel pivot by the look. Very brief update on the Breitling. As you can see there, it's ticking just now. Having taken some of the chronograph works away to access the ratchet screw, I found that it was actually wound tight, and the reason it wasn't running, as you can see right here, is due to a bent fourth wheel pivot, which is sadly not uncommon on these. Very easy to catch, very easy to bend. If they've been put on with undue care, these pivots bend very, very easily. And as you can see here, I just popped off the fourth wheel pivot and this has sprung into life straight away. So this means it's going to have to be a case of trying to, it's going to have to be stripped to get the pivot out. I'm going to have to try and straighten it, and no guarantees on whether that will be successful, so it might need a new fourth wheel pivot. You can see the extended pivot that comes out of the back there, and I don't know how clear this is going to be on this little video clip, but that is actually bent quite noticeably, which I suspected it was. And as you saw in the previous video clip, it will run for a brief period with the wheel on, because obviously it's putting too much pressure on. Let me get my bit of pegwood to point. Once it rotates so far, it's putting too much pressure on this intermediate driving wheel here, and this is just locking everything up. And then obviously once it gets around a certain amount, it's releasing that pressure and allowing it to drive this wheel and then the chronograph wheel, but obviously it's binding and not running otherwise. So we know why that's not running now. Well, obviously it is running. That said, it's not running at its best. I'm just going to put that on the Timegrapher now and see what kind of reading we're getting. Now we've got a steadier reading. We've got this, which I'm certainly much more inclined to believe, an amplitude of 179 degrees and 0.2 millisecond beat error, and a huge loss in time just now, but obviously that's because the amplitude is far too low. And I've just taken another little bit of slow motion, so I'll be able to verify that that's the true amplitude. But that's good, because we know that the watch runs, and it also means I know that with a service it will run well, or there's no particular reason to believe it wouldn't, because the trace is a nice clean trace, despite the fact that it's losing a considerable amount of seconds. It's a very clean trace, so it looks like there's no particular problems with the train or escapement, so that's good. It might need a replacement fourth wheel, and we'll just have to see if I can manage to straighten that sufficiently. And I'll need to get back to the owner, obviously, and just kind of double check and verify all this stuff with him. But that's where we're at. I've still as yet not uncased it and looked at the stem problem, but at least the good news is we know it's a runner and it's reasonably clean, so it's good.